Is Utah Jazz rookie Cody Williams currently an over-dipped Oreo cookie? We'll talk about it next on Locked on Jazz. Bum 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 bum.
You are Locked on Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network. Your team every day.
How are you? I'm David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, Jazz NBA insider. This is Locked on Jazz. It's your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz, giving you insight, expertise, geeky numbers, and hopefully making it way better to be a Jazz fan each and every day. Thank you so much for making Locked on Jazz your first listen of the day. We are free and available on all podcasting apps. And to the first timers, welcome. To the everydayers, you make the show. Here's what we got today. Mondays, we always do Trends Monday. A little funky in March. We'll see who's doing what in the playoff race. We'll also look at this week. Weekend was a great test for our younger players, for all of our players, frankly, to play Cleveland and Boston. Other than Jaylen Brown, everybody played. Both teams came in kind of playing at the level that they want to. They both tried to get right. Cleveland had lost 4 straight, was trying to get right. Boston, Missoula's trying not to let off the gas too much. They're both set in their positions. And so this was a really fabulous test for all of our young players to see how they mark up against the league's best, which frankly, nobody expects them to mark up very well against right now. So it was a fabulous test. The bigger story of the day, Cody Williams continues to struggle. The 10th pick of the NBA draft, the rookie out of Colorado. He was 1 of 9. He had hit 1 of 8 from 3. He had 3 airballs, which is just so unusual. And he's 2 of his last 22 from 3 and 7 of his last 34 in the last 5 games since he's in the starting lineup, which brings us back to one of the oldest analogies and stories that we've ever told on Locked on This and Locked on That. And that is the Oreo cookie. And the idea, my world revolves around cookies. The idea about the Oreo cookie is that the Oreo cookie, by the way, today's show is brought to you by Monarch Money. Monarch Money, take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code Locked on NBA at Monarch Money for 50% off your first year. All right. So the Oreo cookie is kind of the perfect cookie. I mean, it's a little scary that it tastes better in the United States than it does in Canada because we allow stuff in our food. But that's a side note. RFK can deal with that. The Oreo cookie is kind of perfect. The Oreo cookie goes from fabulous to heavenly if dipped in milk correctly. So you can dip an Oreo cookie into milk just a little bit, and it really is just the same as an Oreo cookie. Then you take the risk. You start to really dip it. And you dip that Oreo cookie. And if you hit it just right, it like becomes soft and it's just perfection. Pure perfection. However, if you dip the Oreo cookie into milk and you leave it there too long, it crumbles, falls apart, and it goes into the bottom of your milk cup. And then your Oreo cookie is destroyed. And the question with young NBA players as they develop is how much do you dip the Oreo cookie or the player into action? And the difficulty is trying to understand what's enough, what's too much, what do they learn from, what do they break from? I thought the end of last year on Keyonte George with everyone out was a lot. I just have wiped it from my memory. It's not, he is a player who I thought, like, that wasn't fair. Cody Williams right now might be overdipped. So just to put it in context, just kind of understand where we are. This doesn't mean, by the way, that Cody Williams, if you're overdipped, you're done forever. I think you have to be careful that you don't do permanent damage. But when Cody Williams came out of Colorado, I was a huge fan. I wanted us to take him 10th. I was very excited when we got him. He's long. He could move. His body looked great. He could be good defensively. He shot it at 40% in college from 3. Not a lot. His handle was not sure, and it's probably that's the area maybe I might be as concerned with as anything else, is it seems to have a lack of touch on his handle at times. But there was nothing about him that said like, oh, he's ready today. He was passive. He was playing with three seniors who dominated everything. There was nothing about expecting Cody Williams to be ready today. So I don't think that this is like an indictment of his future. It's not great. Let's not like hide under some overwhelming optimism of absurdity. Like you would rather your 10th pick of the draft is not having this season to these numbers. But let's just look at those numbers for a second just to understand where we are and what we're talking about. So if you look at QSI, which is a weird stat you've never heard of, it's quantified shot index, I think, and it takes the quality of shots you're getting and then compares it to your result. Cody's last in the NBA. He's 13.7 percentage points below what he should be if he was an average shooter in the NBA. Now, Tajon Salon, who was picked before Cody, is next. So it's not unusual to have youngsters in this group. Chris Murray in Portland, Isaiah Collier's after that, Bruce Brown, and then Bilal Coulibaly, Chris Dunn, and Ryan Dunn. So of the 7 worst shooters in the NBA, you have rookie Cody Williams, you have rookie Tajon Salon, you have second-year player Chris Murray, you have second-year player Bilal Coulibaly, and you have rookie Ryan Dunn, 5 of the 8. Okay, not stunning, but still factual. In Tyler Snar's site, Dunks and Threes, which is estimated plus minus, he's the minus 5.9, which is the lowest of any player in the league. So Nick Smith is next, who's a second-year player, then Alex Len, then Maxwell Lewis, who's a second-year player. And the good news for you, by the way, is that Grady Dick, who had a really good year this year for Toronto, was a minus 4.8 last year. So he was in this group last year, and this year he's really good. So again, this is not a death nail. But what it is telling you is that Cody Williams is having the toughest time of any player in the NBA right now in his production. And so is there a moment here where the Jazz have to say, okay, this is all about development, but the best developmental choice for Cody Williams right now is that's enough. Andy Larson and his triple team kind of said, like, it's almost like he's got the yip shooting. Like, you just don't shoot three airballs. I think I could go in the gym with Cody and take 100 shots. I don't think he'd have an airball. Said 5 airballs, I think, in the last 2 games. I think he's 2 for his last 22 from 3, and in that span is 5 airballs. So I think it's a legitimate question of whether or not, okay, that's enough. He started the last 6 games. It's been ugly. I understand we're trying to develop him and give him an opportunity, but maybe the best development is, okay, you're super far away. You've been great about the weight room this year. You've actually gained weight during the year rather than losing weight, which is almost impossible to do. You have a brother that's in this league. You understand what it takes. That's enough. But he's clearly shook. And I think you have to make sure he doesn't break. Because there's no one who enters the league and thinks they're going to have this kind of struggle. And it's also super hard to play in front of 20,000 people, 18,000 people every night. Have it be like, there's no hiding here. Now, the other approach could be, well, tough it up, babe. Like, if you don't got toughness, you're not going to make it anyway, and we're not protecting you. I'm not the biggest. I don't love that. I'll be honest. I don't love that. So I think it's an interesting question for the Jazz right now. On, is there a moment? Will Hardy postgame last night was like, hey, I'm telling him to take the shots. It's just like Walker. Figure out how you're going to get your shots. If you can get the shots and figure out when they come, they'll eventually go in. I'm fine with it. That's a great approach. But the truth is the box score line, and the truth is the pressure around it, and the truth is we're dealing with humans. It's an interesting question of whether or not the analogy I use, you have this beautiful cookie, and we're trying to make it just perfect and even better. But is there a chance it's going to end up in the bottom of the cup, all mushy and not as good? Big time weekend test for our young players against the Celtics and the Cavaliers. How'd they do? It's next on Locked on Jazz. The Monday edition of Locked on Jazz is brought to you by Murdoch Chevy. Located in Woods Cross and in Logan, Murdoch Chevy is here for you with the Chevy trucks. And there's nothing quite like a Chevy truck. It's Americana. It's power. It's independence. It's everything you could possibly imagine you want. And right now, the 2024-25 Silverado HD is 5.9 for 84 months. Pretty great deal going on right there. Truck month is underway. The Silverado 1500 Turbo Max. You can get for well-qualified buyers 2.9 for 72 months. Plus, on the Blazer and the Equinox, you can get 0% for 60 months. So great deals. And the Silverado EV are up to a $7,500 clean vehicle federal tax credit on the Equinox EV, the Blazer EV, or the Silverado EV. So great deals over at Murdoch Chevy, located in Woods Cross, also in Logan. If you're going to stop by, feel free to email me first at dlock09@gmail.com so that we can get you the VIP experience you deserve as a Locked On everydayer. It's Murdoch Chevy. Today's show is also brought to you by Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA for 50% off your first year at Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all the money go between dining out, online shopping, entertainment? It's easy to lose track, and that's chocolate chip cookies. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full flexibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, invest, spending in one place, so you can stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Surprising insights you find out when you look at it and see how much you're using on various expenses you didn't think were that big a deal. All in one convenience of juggling multiple apps. You can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, look at long-term goals, and easy collaboration with a partner. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA. It's pretty cool, by the way. Check it out at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Thank you so much for making Locked On Jazz your first listen of the day today. Great test for our young players to face the Cavaliers and the Celtics. And these games, these are hard. So if you just look at this really fundamentally, and we're going to have a draft, right? The Celtics are playing the Jazz, and we're going to have a draft of the matchups on Friday night in our arena. Jason Tatum or Cody Williams, Jason Tatum. Mismatch, right? Al Horford or Svi Mykhailiuk, Kristaps Porzingis, Walker Kessler, Derek White, Colin Sexton, Drew Holiday, Isaiah Collier. These are tough matchups. Keyonte George against Drew Holiday or Derek White. These are tough matchups. And Kyle Filipowski, Luke Cornett. Okay, maybe, but Luke Cornett is actually pretty well experienced. And if you look at the matchups of last night or yesterday afternoon, Evan Mobley, Kyle Filipowski. Okay, that's like the third pick versus the 32nd. Jared Allen, Walker Kessler. Jared Allen's where I think Walker Kessler would like to go. Donovan, Colin Sexton. Darius Garland, Isaiah Collier. DeAndre Hunter, Keyonte George. Max Strus, Cody Williams. It's an edge to the Cavaliers in every single one of them. And that's fine. They're 57-14. That's what it's supposed to be. But it doesn't make it easier, right? There's nothing wrong with the fact that that's the case. That's where we are. That's where they are. But this is a test for our young players going up against someone who's just, unquestionably, whatever NBA rank you want to look at, a better player than they are with 10 years, almost all of them have 7 to 8 years of experience, absolutely fundamentally know how to play the game at a different level. And you don't have John Collins and Lowry Marketing with you to give you a security blanket. So it's a big time test. It's a little bit of a test set up to fail, right? It's awfully hard. And our guys weren't great. But I think it's really important for them to drive home from the arena Monday after or Sunday afternoon and be like, okay, that's the standard. And what do I do? So Isaiah Collier in the 2 games, and let me be clear, I stopped both these stats at the third quarter. We were down 20 going into the third quarter against the fourth quarter against the Cavs, and down 14 going into fourth quarter against the Celtics. Both those games are over at that point. So I want to know, what did you do in the 3 quarters while the game was competitive? So Isaiah Collier in those 2 games goes 0 for 3 against Cleveland last night with 3 assists and 4 turnovers. And against Boston and through 3 quarters was 2 of 8 with 3 assists and 2 turnovers. So Isaiah in the 2 games, 2 for 11 with 6 assists and 6 turnovers. Okay. Well, again, not an indictment on their future. Not a hey, if they drop 34, yeah, we'd be fired up. But that's not where the 29th pick of an NBA draft is probably supposed to be right now. But so Isaiah's probably driving home going, wow. Made some nice plays in the fourth quarter. I think he finished 3 of 6 from the field. I'm not sure I'm the grandest lover of fourth quarter stats here. That's kind of my point. I'm taking those out. He's driving home going, top 10 defense, top 10 offense, all-star caliber players that will be playing, that I'll be watching in May, battling in an incredible and insane Eastern Conference 7-game series. Keyonte George against Boston through 3 quarters was 2 of 8 with, I think, 5 assists and 2 turnovers. And against Cleveland was 1 for 5 with, sorry, my eyes are not great, maybe 4 assists and 1 turnover. So nice assist to turnover ratio for Keyonte, 9-3 in those, but shot 3 of 13. Again, Will Hardy was really fascinating in the pregame yesterday about shooting and the base and learning how to shoot and what has to happen. He talked about Keyonte needs to have, more regular base to what he's doing. But so Keyonte in 2 games against the Celtics and the Cavaliers goes 3 of 13 in the first 3 quarters of the game when it matters. Okay. Again, just a test, just an understanding I've got a lot of work to do. And I believe that year 2 to year 3 is where players do work. I've said this a lot, but for those that are new, everydayers, stick with me. I believe that in year 1, players come to the NBA and they get their ass kicked in a bunch of different ways. And they go to the offseason, they go work on all the areas where they got their ass kicked. And then they come back for year 2 and they get their ass kicked again in all the same ways that they just worked on. And the impact of that is that in year 2, while they're playing, they realize, I'm really good at these 3 things. And in between years 2 and year 3, they go to work and they work on the things that they're really good at. We've seen it with Walker between year 2 and 3. He's a better rebounder. He is stronger. He's more physical force. He was huge on a few plays against Cleveland, just ripping the ball away with energy and playing with a tenacity after Will got in on him a little bit. And then he came out and played with as much juice as I've ever seen. Yeah, that's the problem. So Keyonte, this is the offseason. Okay, I've got to get my base right because I'm going to have to be able to shoot to play in this league. And then I'm going to work on these other following things, but I'm not worrying about, maybe a bunch of other things because I worried about those again. And it's why Keyonte is better than he was a year ago, but not dramatically. Filipowski against Boston had a tough night. He was 1 for 4. He had 5 turnovers. He had 4 points, 4 rebounds. He played very little. And against Cleveland, his numbers are better, but the starting lineup of Walker, Kessler, Kyle Filipowski, Cody Williams, Colin Sexton, and Isaiah Collier was terrible. They got outscored, I think it was 11-5 or 12-5 in the first half. And then Evan Brads joined us at halftime and said, okay, let's see if they can come out with some energy. And they got outscored 15-0. So I think the starters were outscored 27-5 last night with Kyle at the 4 and Walker at the 5. It's a little bit of a bummer. Again, though, let's go back to what we just did a minute ago. You compare all 5 players. You're taking the Cavaliers at every position. And then Bryce Sensabaugh played 7 minutes in the first 3 quarters against the Cavaliers and 8 minutes against the Celtics. It's clear that as well as he's shooting it, and he's really shooting it great, his lack of defense is prohibiting him from getting on the floor right now. He's really shooting it great. He is not in favor, though, on the rotations right now and time on the floor. He's, since All-Star break, he's nearly 50% from three. I mean, there's some really cool stuff here. Since February 1st, Kyle Filipowski is the number, let me see if I can pull this up. Kyle Filipowski is the number 2 3-point shooter in the NBA behind DeAndre Hunter. And Bryce Sensabaugh is like right next to him. And to think that where Kyle came from is pretty amazing. I have to put a little, let's see. I have to do a little bit of a quick, give me a second here because I need to find out how many, what our qualifiers are. So Kyle's taken 95, 97, and Bryce has taken 115. So we'll we'll say the top, it must have taken 80 shots. Let's say that they have to have taken 80 shots as 3-point shots. And if it gets us to 135 players, DeAndre Hunter is number 1 in the NBA since February 1st at 47%. Kyle Filipowski is number 2 at 46%. Bryce Sensabaugh slides down a little bit at 44%. But Kyle's if you set the benchmark at 80, which gets him into it over 21 games, that's not bad. That's averaging almost 4 a game. Kyle's 46.4% from 3 is the second best of anyone in the NBA since February 1st. It's pretty incredible. The top 5 are DeAndre Hunter, Kyle Filipowski, Dante DiVincenzo, Sam Hauser, Quentin Post, Jamal Murray, Royce O'Neal, Malik Beasley, Harrison Barnes, Taurean Prince, Chris Paul, and Bryce Sensabaugh. It's a great tribute to what those guys are doing. Huge work on their part. Pretty awesome. So it was a great test. And I think our guys probably drove home Sunday afternoon thinking, all right, I got work to do. And they do. Perfect. Perfect. Trends Monday. Who's hot? Who's making a run in March in the dead days of the NBA? Who's not? Who's struggling so badly it's a bit disconcerting? It's next on Locked On Jazz. We like to do Trends Monday every single Monday, obviously. That's why we call it Trends Monday, in which we look at the teams in the NBA who are the hottest over the last 10 games and those that are the coldest over the last 10 games. And then we also look at the last 2 weeks to see if we can see any other trends. This time of year is certainly a bit funky. There are 3 teams that are 9-1 in this stretch: Boston, Houston, and Oklahoma City. So the best teams are still playing. The Thunder have the best differential of any team over the last 10. Minnesota has the second best. Minnesota's making a run right now. They'll be in the top 6 when this is over. They might be 5th. They might want 6 to play Denver. The Clippers, with Kawhi Leonard back, this is interesting, are plus 12.3 and 8-2 in the last 10. I think they hold on to win last night. That was a close one. Down the stretch last night. They lost OKC 103-101 last night. That was a good game. Then Boston is the fourth best is Houston, 5th best is Boston. Chicago is actually the 6th best. Phoenix, very quietly, is the 7th best team in the NBA over the last 10. And the Warriors are 8. Teams that are struggling. No surprises here. New Orleans, Dallas, Utah, Charlotte, Philadelphia, Washington. Committed to the task. All 6 of those. And Dallas is out of the playoff picture now. Phoenix is back in. Hottest offense in the NBA right now is Boston, followed by Minnesota. They're actually tied. Then Phoenix, San Antonio, the Clippers, and Oklahoma City. Coldest offense in the NBA is your Utah Jazz. Then Miami, Cincinnati, no Jimmy Butler, and they're still trying. Toronto, Washington, New York, no Jalen Brunson, and New Orleans. And then the Lakers. Best defense in the NBA in the last 10 games is Oklahoma City, followed by Houston, New York. Oklahoma City wasn't there for a while, so Mark Dagnall's got them to play defense again. Houston, New York, LA, Golden State, and Minnesota, with Milwaukee right behind them. Those all? No, the Knicks were in there. The teams not playing defense are New Orleans, Dallas, Philadelphia, Doug Christie's Sacramento Kings, Charlotte Hornets, Denver Nuggets. A little interesting there. All right, so we take a look at the last 2 weeks, a little bit of a shorter time period, and see whether we see any other trends. So the biggest trend I think we saw right there is how well the Clippers are playing, that Minnesota is ready to take a launch, and that maybe Oklahoma City has checked in. Well, the Clippers are doing it most recently. Over the last 2 weeks, Clippers have the best differential of anyone in the NBA, followed by Minnesota, Chicago, Houston, OKC, and Boston. The bottom teams are Washington, Sacramento, interestingly. I think Minnesota, if I remember, is Sacramento's behind Minnesota. Minnesota could catch the Clips, I think, to get to 5. Phoenix could catch Sacramento and get to 9. Utah, Philadelphia, Charlotte, New Orleans, and then Miami, who's not committed to the task but is playing that badly. The number one offense in the NBA the last 2 weeks is the LA Clippers. That's surprising. San Antonio, Quinn Snyder's Atlanta Hawks, Mark Dagnall's Oklahoma City Thunder, Boston, and Phoenix are the top offenses. Jazz have the worst offense in the NBA over the last 2 weeks. Toronto, Washington, Miami, Brooklyn, and Indiana. Defensively, the top team in the NBA over the last 2 weeks is Orlando, then Minnesota, then Houston, then New York without Jalen Brunson, and Chicago. Pretty interesting that Billy Donovan's really got that team to defend and play that way. Worst defense in the NBA over the last 2 weeks at 130 is Sacramento. Sacramento's struggles here are a real takeaway. Sabonis is injured. They don't really have a center. Philadelphia, Dallas, New Orleans, Charlotte, and Denver again. Is Denver coasting? Do they play defense? Matt Moore on Locked On NBA made the claim that Jokic shouldn't win the MVP because of how bad the defense has been recently. Which is pretty telling comment since he covers the Nuggets. All right, that is Locked On NBA today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Appreciate you very much. If you haven't followed me on any of the socials, it's DLock09 across the board. Please do. Our daily newsletter comes right to your inbox each and every day and gives you the best content you could possibly imagine, with national articles as well as a fantasy thing. It's all there for you. And if you've not subscribed to the show, if you liked anything you got today, please do give us a 5-star review. We super appreciate it on Apple, Spotify. Subscribe, follow, and YouTube, hit the bell button. Amazon Breakdown is up for you as well. Super good show by everybody. I'm super proud of what everyone's done there. In the meantime, we'll send you the first ever national 24/7 NBA channel on YouTube. Locked On NBA. If you're on audio, check out NBA Game Night. Every game, every night on Locked On NBA Game Night.